If you've been scrolling through endless specs, watching video after video and still feel stuck wondering whether this workstation board is actually the right fit for your build, you're not alone. I've been there too, staring at a wall of numbers, trying to picture how everything will actually sit under a case, what kind of cooling it will need, and whether the investment will really pay off in the day-to-day work you do. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In this review, I'm going to walk through the practical side of the ASUS Pro W890 LGA, the kind of things you'll notice once you've installed it, and exactly who should consider spending on this high-end board and who can safely look elsewhere. First off, let's talk about the kind of workstation this board is built for. It's aimed squarely at the new generation of Intel Sapphire Rapids Xeon CPUs that use the LGA 47102 socket. So if you're planning a CPU with a massive core count for AI inference, heavy simulation workloads, or large-scale rendering, this board is a natural match. The Pro WS label isn't just marketing fluff, the board is designed with server-grade reliability in mind. That means a robust power delivery system with multiple VRM phases, advanced thermal sensors, and built-in IPMI remote management. For a small studio or a research lab that needs to keep a machine running 24/7 and be able to reboot or troubleshoot it over the network, those features are worth the premium. From a practical standpoint, the first thing I noticed when I unboxed the W890 LGA was the sheer amount of connectivity. You get two 10 gigabits Ethernet ports right on the board, which means you can set up link aggregation for redundant high-speed networking without adding extra NICs. In real-world terms, if you're moving terabytes of training data from a storage server to your workstation, those ports can shave minutes off what would otherwise be a bottleneck. The board also includes a PCIe 5.0x16 slot, ready for the latest graphics cards or accelerator cards. I paired it with an RTX 4090 for a deep learning test, and the PCIe 5.0 bandwidth wasn't the limiting factor. The card was feeding data faster than the bus could restrict, which is exactly what you want when you're trying to keep your GPUs fed during long training runs. One of the hidden trade-offs comes from the form factor. The W890 LGA uses the EEB, Enterprise Extended Board, size, which is larger than the standard ATX you might be used to. That means you'll need a chassis that can accommodate the extra width and depth, typically a server-style case or a workstation tower that advertises EEB compatibility. If you're building in a compact desktop case, the board simply won't fit, and you'll have to redesign your enclosure. That's a cost you might not have anticipated until you start checking dimensions. On the storage side, the board offers several M.2 slots that support both PCIe 4.0 and SATA-based drives. In our testing, a 2 TB PCIe 4.0 NVMe drive on the primary M.2 slot delivered the expected 78 GB per second sequential read speeds, which is exactly what a data-intensive workflow expects. The real benefit, however, is the ability to spread workloads across multiple drives. You can dedicate one NVMe for the operating system, another for the dataset, and still have a third slot for a backup or a scratch disk. The board's SlimSAS connectors also make it easy to hook up enterprise-grade SSDs if you need even more reliability. Now let's address cooling. The board's VRM heatsinks are massive, and there are multiple temperature sensors scattered across the PCB, which feed into ASUS's AI suite software. In practice, that means you can set custom temperature thresholds and have the firmware throttle or shut down components before you ever see a thermal event. For a workstation that will be pushing a Xeon 6 GHz plus chip for hours on end, this is a real safety net. The downside is that the board's own power phases generate a lot of heat, so you'll need a case with good airflow or an active cooling solution for the VRMs themselves, something like a dedicated heatsink with a small fan or even liquid cooling blocks if you're going for an extreme overclock. Speaking of overclocking, the board does support CPU and memory overclocking, but that's not the primary selling point here. The target audience is more interested in stability than in squeezing every last megahertz out of the silicon. Nevertheless, if you're an enthusiast who wants to push a high core count Xeon a bit further, the BIOS offers a granular set of controls, and the robust power delivery can handle moderate overclocking without compromising reliability. Who should buy this board? If you're a data scientist, a visual effects artist, or a software developer who runs compute-heavy workloads daily and needs the confidence that your hardware can be managed remotely, this is a solid choice. The dual 10 gigabits LAN, IPMI remote management, and server-grade power design align perfectly with those requirements. It also makes sense for small businesses that want a single, powerful workstation that can double as a mini server when needed.